some main reflections, I would say the offensive line really did a good job blocking. Also, the receivers did a great job of blocking downfield and sustaining their blocks, which allowed me to get to the second level.
Speaking of defensive line, word is that you sometimes go into their film room, into their meetings, and just kind of understand the schemes and what they're doing. Can you kind of expand on that? What's the reasoning behind that?
Just so we're on the same page. I think that's very important for running backs and offensive linemen to be on the same page. And so today, even we went inside their room and just learned how they're going to block it. So we'll be able to see some things out just by the way that Colorado lines up, and we'll be able to diagnose it quickly and hit the spot where it's supposed to be.
What's the reaction been like from other people just in the last couple of days?
From people back home, they sort of been through that and known that what I'm capable of. But the people here, they kind of hyped my head up, boosting me a little bit. But I stay focused. I got some people, Manny, Nikhil, always telling me to remain focused, and so I'm just on to the next week. The most important day is the next day.
Your balance is really good. You spin a little bit. It seems like you're a right tackle, and somehow you have really good balance. Do you anything to work on that? Sometimes you back to the field before.
I think a lot of it comes from me playing soccer, I would say, back in the day. And then also, when I used to work out at home, I used to train a little bit with LaDainian Thomason, and so he kind of coached me up on the spin move.
Did he really?
Yeah.
When did that start?
That was my junior or senior year, I think, of high school. I had my trainer. My trainer used to work with, I think, his nephew it was, and so he'd always used to come out. LaDainian Thomason always used to come out and give me some little tips.
That's you're a better person to get tips from, I guess.
Yeah, for that spin move for sure.
Just to make sure your man teaching you this year, your mother this year, is there anybody else from your family?
My aunt, two of my aunts were here, also from Texas, and then I have my first cousin actually lives out here with her husband and kids, and so they were here at the game too.
How did you go celebrate afterwards?
Didn't celebrate really, I guess you'd say. I just spent time with them. We went out to eat, and that was about it.
Did you know that you were on the precipice of such a phenomenal game, like a history-making game here in this university?
I did not, and it wasn't even to that last series that I think Frank Darby came up to me and was telling me that I was only 16 yards shy of 300 yards, and so actually I think Isaiah Floyd was like, "Yo, I think you've broken a record." And I was like, "You know what? Like, quit playing, because like you know how many great backs have come through here. There's no way that this is going to be a record." And so he kept bugging me about it, saying that, "Yo, I think this is a record." And I just almost had to tell him to shut up on the sideline because I didn't think it was at all. So yeah.
What about accomplishing things so early in your career?
There's more left to do. I would say. I really don't think I'm not a guy who thinks about or thinks too much about breaking records and stuff like that or getting accomplishments. I remember back in high school, I'd get nominated for these awards and whatnot, and I'd never tell my family members. And so when they did find out, they'd be upset because I didn't tell them, but I didn't really think it was that big of a deal. And so that's kind of how I view things like that.
John Simon said that you and Nick Wilson are sort of in pros in the room in terms of the attention to detail and steady habits. Where did that come from? Just their own biggest option?
I think just in everything I do, I think I'm a pretty organized person, and I like to have a game plan with everything I do. Like when I go down to the weight room, or even during like the off season, I'd always come in early and ask, like, you know, like, what is our run today? I just like being prepared in the little ways possible. Just I think that helps me mentally and as well as get prepared physically.
Have you been like that?
I've always been like that, yes, sir.
How do you feel when, in the wake of your game, Coach Edwards reiterates how he wants this to be a running football team or a running football program here at State?
Well, that was one thing when he was hired I was happy about, just because I've known his history with coaching, and I did a little bit of research myself on his running backs, and so they carried the ball a ton, and so I was quite happy when I found out Herm Edwards was going to be our head coach.
What does that say about the mentality of the team when you're able to have a ground game by pushing back?
That we're a tough physical team is what that says. And so, like I said, the offensive line, they do a great job. And I think it was that Washington week. You could tell it was a difference just because in practice there was a lot of pads, literally, like you could hear the pads popping. And so I was going around like, Simon, I think this is going to be good because like that sound of pad popping is just amazing. Really, I would say just the stuff that I've been through in my life. I think I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot, and just everything that I've been through in my life has made me who I am. And so I think my parents do a great job of keeping me down. They always tell me, stay down, stay humble, so God can bring you up. And so that's one thing I always think about. And my mom and my dad always remind me of that every time I'm on the phone with them. I've known a little bit about him, but Coach Mawai, he was like, you know what, this is a couple months ago, honestly, he was telling me to go watch and study his film, and so I've been watching him. He plays bigger than he is, and so Coach Mawai told me he's not very big, but then I look at the film, but then back then the shoulder pads were huge, and so he looks a lot bigger than what he actually is.
So you look at the Colorado defense, a pretty stingy one. He gave up 16 points or less 3 of the 4 games. What do you see from them on film as a reminder of any defense you faced previously?
I think they're special in their own way, and so I think our coaches have put in a very good game plan as far as running the ball, and I think we got the guys to get the job done. My phone has honestly been going crazy to the point where it spazzed out. So I just got my phone back up and going last night. So I'm not sure if he hit me up. Kalen Balaj hit me up again, and so I've been talking to him a little bit. Told me he was proud and stuff like that. Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Do I keep in touch with him? Not so much, but through my trainer I do, yeah. Yes, sir.
There's a picture out there of you with Jeremy Jones. Do you remember that occasion and what happened there?
I do. My high school team played his grandson's high school team, and so I can't remember, John, I think is his name, John Stephen Jones. His younger brother played on I think it was the freshman game, and so after we get done with our varsity meeting, team meeting, later that night, we go out, finish the game by watching the freshmen. And so I remember I saw him, I'm a huge Cowboy fan, and just went up with him and, hey, can I take a picture with you and stuff like that. And so I thought that was a pretty neat deal.
Obviously your freshman year didn't go as planned, and it really started with that Army All-Star game where he got injured. Was this really kind of rewarding after all that journey, all those tribulations to have a game like this last week?
Yeah, for sure. Just stay in the road. Being patient, like I said, Coach Simon and I, we had a blueprint, is what we call it. And so there's going to be adversity. When adversity strikes, how are you going to react to it? And so I think that was honestly, that was one of those things that you said, humility. And so I think that was one of those things that you got to really humble yourself and understand that things are going to get tough, and you have to go through trials and tribulations to see if you come out on top, and that's really what you're made of.
You kind of wish that 4-game redshirt rule was going to be applied last week?
No, not really, because then there'd be no running backs with any type of experience on the field, exactly. And so it happened, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm glad what happened last year happened. I'm just being able to get that feel of it and play.
Everybody good? Thanks, Eno.
Thanks, Eno.
No problem.